Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is that you're tuning into the Brent Lemmer podcast. I hope you make it a great day, and I hope it's an awesome day for you. I genuinely do. Life's too short, man. Life's too short to not be happy. This is my first podcast. This is my first ever podcast that I've always wanted to have my own podcast and kind of get my deep thoughts that come to my mind, my philosophical ways of thinking, ways of doing things out in the open. And, maybe not everything is meant to be shared on the internet, but here we go. So I'm sitting in my apartment looking at my audience, aka no one, just the windows, and talking to a microphone, talking to myself. The years of high school speech and one-act all school play, talking in college classes, presenting who knows what, that's all prepared me for this moment of starting my own podcast. I guess other reasons for starting this is I just like talking, kind of all the reasons I've listed previously. I think there's so many topics in today's day and age that people need to discuss more, because I will admit that there are a lot of people that have their own podcasts and everybody kind of talks about the same things. It's a trendy thing to do. But I think it's also important to note the things that people don't talk about. Politics, conspiracy theories, all this stuff, God, health and wellness, exercise. There's just so much. There's so much. When I was writing the outline for this, there's so much that came to mind of things that I got excited about that will for sure be covered in future pods with guests or with myself or whoever comes on the show. So cheers to that, and cheers to the future, and cheers to the entrepreneurial spirit. I think of creating your own path and going about things in your own way. Even though, yes, I've admitted podcasts is kind of a trendy thing to do, but do you have podcast equipment? Do you have your own setup at home? Maybe, maybe not. And I think, again, we're just reiterating, everybody has thoughts and feelings and experiences that should be shared. And because that's who you are. It's your legacy, if you will. I took some notes when writing this outline of kind of the sections we'll go over today. And entrepreneurial spirit was one of them, with ancestors and doing things with my hands. A good friend of mine from probably 2 years ago, her and I were talking about how we grew up on cattle ranches and how doing things with our hands was always instilled in us, meaning we were working cattle, fixing fence, being outside, just as kids, we played outside. We weren't glued to our phone, and we didn't really have technology quite as much as in 2025, where it's just literally everywhere. There's no escaping it. It was still kind of on the up and up. It sounds like I'm talking like I'm from the Stone Age, but I remember my first iPad and my first iPod, I saved up my own money, and it was probably my 8th grade, 7th grade year that I had my first screen. And I think to that point, and to the reason I'm starting this podcast, is I just like to do things. I like to create things, make things, talk. For those of you that know me, that are tuning in and listening, you know that I talk a lot, and a lot of times will never shut up. I have some friends here that I've sat on patios until 4:00 in the morning because, we just hit it off and we wouldn't stop talking, and we just kept deep diving into all the stuff. So with all that, if you want to be a guest in the future, DM me, subscribe, comment down below, do all the stuff, whatever platform you're listening to this. I'm going to try to post it to Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. There's no video for this first one, as you're probably figuring out. And if you're watching it on YouTube, I'll try to have, just pictures or something to entertain you across the screen, or just listen to it, So with that, let's get into it. Also, I want to make some notes. If you hear noises in the background, it's probably my wash machine. Once it gets going, it really likes to make a lot of noise. This microphone shouldn't pick it up, but it's a possibility. Also, then if you hear that, I am sipping on some Press coffee, not yet sponsored, but eventually we will get sponsored by Press Coffee. Best coffee I've ever had in my entire life. So good. If you haven't tried it, I believe they ship all over the U.S. Their Twitch espresso blend is phenomenal. I use it in my espresso machine. It's fantastic. I'm a self-proclaimed coffee snob. I'm not a Folgers guy. I do appreciate a good cup of Folgers coffee now and again, but I like my coffee with flavors, and flavors from the coffee bean itself, not some frou-frou, sugary bullshit. Right now, I'm sipping on a iced Americano with honey. Simple, straightforward, no questions asked. You can't screw it up. And if you do, we got problems. Anyway, moving on. Not yet sponsored, again, by the way, by Press. But Press, if you're listening to this, reach out. I'd love to work with you. Let's get things rolling. So first point, let's just do a quick resume, my journey so far. So I grew up in a small town. I actually grew up on a cattle ranch about 20 miles south of my hometown of Atkinson, Nebraska. Population about 1,200 people. 1,200 people. Very small. It was awesome, though. I loved it. I had to drive 17, so actually it wasn't 20 miles. It was 17 miles from my house to school, to drive to high school every single day. My high school class was 32 people. Oh, before high school, actually, I went to a one-room schoolhouse. So imagine Little House on the Prairie, but with modern amenities. Played Oregon Trail 4th edition on the computer. Absolutely phenomenal game. If you haven't played it, check it out. It's probably not created anymore, but maybe there's like an app for that, you know? Anyway, fast forward. So high school, class size of 32. Everybody knew each other's business, even in the entire town. It seems like anytime I call home, there's something new going on. There's some new gossip or some tea being spilled from anyone and everyone that I talk to from home. So everybody knows everyone's business, which is a good thing and also a bad thing. Fast forward, graduated high school, went to college at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Go Big Red, go Huskers. Not a huge sports guy. Not a big sports guy, to be honest. I will root for the Huskers, Husker volleyball, Husker football. Fantastic sports. But other than that, don't really follow sports. I studied agricultural and environmental sciences communication with a minor in ag business. All of this, I literally feel like I'm in a job interview right now. This is the boring shit that no one really cares about. But maybe you do. Maybe it's entertaining. When I first went to college, actually, I didn't know what I wanted to study. I started out as architecture. Then I realized that I had to take a ton of math classes, and I'm not very good at math. And so I was like, screw that. Then I switched to, I think, business or finance. And again, a lot of math. And I was like, screw that. And then I ended up with agriculture and environmental sciences communication. If anyone from the AESC community is listening to this, you know that is a mouthful, and we need to work on coming up with a new major name for that, because that is just too much to say. So a lot of times I just tell people ag business, because it's kind of that. I also minored in that, had a little bit of business classes, which I enjoyed. And really, like, East Campus, I feel like most majors, unless you're very specific. East Campus, by the way, is the agricultural college of the university. Everybody knows everyone. It's kind of like a small town in itself. Awesome place. You can really do anything over there. Like, whatever you pick your degree in, unless it's very specific, it's a lot of classes have overlap, and you kind of end up with the same degree in a sense, which is awesome, because at the end of the day, you still have this huge network and this huge, I guess I'm going to call it a robust network. A lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds or a lot of different areas of study that all have your back. So it's a very close-knit community, to the point where I could reach out to those people today and I would help them, they would help me, et cetera, et cetera. So that's pretty cool. And I'm sure there's a lot of schools that do offer that. I just think I'm biased towards the University of Nebraska. Fantastic school. Fantastic. So fast forward after college, I decided to move to Arizona. So I also went to college during the COVID era. So 2020, I sat alone in my apartment in Lincoln, Nebraska on Zoom calls, going to class, going to work. And I feel like everyone kind of went through this weird phase in COVID of like, oh, let's move. Let's go somewhere. And so I did. And one of my old roommates from college, Kieran, he lives in Tucson, went out to Tucson. That was the first place I moved. And little did I know that Tucson is kind of a city for retirees and kids that are going to the U of A, University of Arizona. It's an interesting town. It's a great city. I loved it. My time there was well spent. But that was the first place I chose on the Arizona map, destination of places to live. I lived with Kieran him and his roommates for about 3 months, and then moved to my own apartment on the east side of Tucson, which this is all retirees and families on this side of town. Didn't know that. Whoops. And so lived over there and worked at Garmin. I think it's Garmin International. I don't know what the official name. They have something after the name, LTD or something. As a customer support specialist, answering phone calls all day in, day out, talking to people about their watches and their products, their Garmin products. Garmin is a fantastic company to work for. Their benefits are phenomenal. Their people are phenomenal. I just realized quickly that job and working in corporate America was not for me. I did not like it. I did not like the slow pace of climbing the quote unquote corporate ladder and how just kind of very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very hierarchical, which pronunciation is not my strong suit in some words, but how ladderish the corporate world can be. I just am not a fan of that. And I think, as I mentioned before, having the entrepreneurial spirit of my ancestors, that just wasn't for me. That's just not in my blood. Shout out to the people that can do that and thrive in corporate settings. It's not me. Anyway, so after Garmin, I actually continued working in corporate. I had a connection that worked at a sales company in Scottsdale, and I moved up to Scottsdale, the hustle bustle city of Arizona. So I moved up here for a sales job, did that for about 2 years, went on and worked for a startup, a sales startup for about a year after the fact, all of which being very corporate. It was a blast. I loved my time. I'm grateful for my experience within that. But I decided to go out on my own and start my own company, which many of you that are listening are probably wondering, Brent, what are you doing? What is going on? So I started my own company. It all started with a drone purchase. I bought a drone thinking I would do photo and video for real estate agents. And I quickly realized how oversaturated the real estate market is in the photo space. A lot of times agents will just take their own photos on their phone, send it off, it gets edited, it comes back, $20. So it wasn't very lucrative, and it was just very oversaturated. And real estate agents, especially in Arizona, where it's a very hot market, I feel like it's always been a hot market, are kind of, for lack of better terms, just cutthroat. Like, if you're not buying or selling, they don't want to talk to you. And not all of them are that way, of course. I've met some very fantastic agents that I have worked with on the photo side or just networking and getting to know people. But there is definitely a culture of cutthroatness, which sounds so harsh, but I think you know what I mean. So that then evolved into, I signed up for a course to teach me how to build my own marketing agency, and that is what we're doing. So cheers to that, and cheers to the future, and cheers to building the business. The podcast is, I guess you could say, a branch of that. Oh, so just with the resume and some lessons that I've learned within, a lot of lessons I've learned. Trust. Of course, I think being from the Midwest, we're very community-driven, community-based individuals, and trusting people when you move to the big city, for me, I was almost like a golden retriever where, oh, let's do business. Oh, this is so exciting. Like, oh, I'll do anything for you. And then you quickly realize that not everybody is built that way. And that is completely okay. I think it just is kind of a slap in the face for when you're starting business. And there's so many other lessons that I'm sure I will learn I was told this the other day, that it's your quote, it's your tuition. It's your cost of doing business. It's your kind of the things you learn at the beginning that every businessman or woman has to go through, that eventually you figure out that like these things everybody goes through. Like, I think when those things happened to me at first, I was just like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with me? Like, did I do something wrong? When in reality, that's just, everybody has to go through that, and it sucks, but that's just the way business is done. I think in the grand scheme of things, how business is probably done in America, even in Nebraska, the Midwest, can be very cutthroat. There are cutthroat aspects of business. And I'll say, honestly, that's exciting. Those lessons, yes, were hard, but it also excites me for the future, and using that as a learning opportunity and a growth opportunity to get better. So the next part is Weeks of My Life. This is the title of this subheading. And if you saw my teaser for the podcast, you saw me pointing to a poster on my wall. And it's titled Weeks of My Life. And across one line is 1 year, and then there's 100 rows down to the bottom of 100 years, if you're blessed to live to be 100. I'm currently 26, almost 27. I'll be 27 in June. And it's just kind of a daily reminder of how long I've been on this earth, and relatively how much time I have left. Again, being blessed with time from God. I have a $100 bill in the middle of it, just not as like a symbol of like money, but just because 100 years also like represents giving 100%, and the things like, if I can create value, money is just a byproduct to that. And again, I know that's probably sounds like, oh, he's just chasing money. No, I think money is important to understand, and important to know that that is a byproduct of the value that you bring to the marketplace. And people, a lot of times, especially growing up, I remember money was like this voodoo thing that you don't talk about. And, oh, you don't ask someone how much they make or what they do or how much they spend. That's against the rules. And while I'll partially agree with that, I think it's still something that needs to be talked about in a, let's educate you on how money works and where it comes from, and the overarching reason of why we have money in the first place. That was kind of a little tangent there. But back to the Weeks of My Life. Yeah, it's just kind of a daily reminder of my intent, values, and legacy that I'm building towards. So first thing is intent, action over planning. I think a lot of times, and I'm sure business people that are listening to this can relate, of you can spend so much time planning, even in general, even if you don't own a business or have your own thing going, like you can spend hours, if not days, weeks, months planning for something. But if you don't start taking action and doing things, you're not going to see anything. And I know for a long time, I was kind of stuck in that planning mode and just thinking like, oh, it's got to be perfect and it's got to be this way. And I'm going to plan. And oh, everything's going to be laid out so pretty and nice. And I have this nice board of like the vision and the plan. It's like, no, just start doing it. And I think that's also where this podcast came from is I've always planned to do it. I've always had this idea of like, oh, I'll make a podcast someday. And then I just was like, screw it. Enough planning. I think it's important to have like maybe an outline like I have, and then just sit down and start recording. Because yes, errors are going to be made. Yes, this is going to still be edited before it's published. Another note that I made is I have no TV. I haven't had a TV since October of 2021, with a small exception of I did purchase a TV January 1st of 2025, and I got rid of it March 15th of 2025. Yes, I still watch Netflix occasionally on my computer, but it's kind of a barrier. I don't know if you've read the book Atomic Habits. Again, shout out, not sponsored. But it talks about making your bad habits harder to get to. So for me, I remember the reason I got rid of my TV in the first place is I would come home from work, at the time working in corporate, and stare at a screen from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., come home, make dinner, work out. That was pretty much it at the time. And then I'd turn on the TV. I'd be watching The Office or whatever. And then I'd also be scrolling on my phone. Maybe my computer is close by, looking at the other jobs or just browsing the web. And I'm like, I'm looking at a screen all freaking day. This is insane. And so it was kind of a thing of like, I want to be more in tune with myself and more in tune with the world around me and get outside, meet people and interact and like just be outside in general. And yeah, so I got rid of my TV and honestly, I love it. It's so great not having a TV. All I have is a very nice speaker system. I'm a big speaker guy and it's great. I will say people come over like for drinks or for dinner or whatever and they're like, where's your TV? I'm like, I don't have one. And they're like, that's crazy. I did some research actually on this last night. So, and this is another thing about me is like, I like to ask why a lot or like really think about things like philosophically and like kind of dive down rabbit holes with a lot of things. And it's like, humans as a society, we have not had TVs for more than 100 years. In fact, the first, like, Americans and the world didn't really start having TVs in the household until like the late 1930s, mid 1940s. So post-war, kind of in that era. So we haven't even had TVs in our household for 100 years yet. And yes, while there's obviously like science backing that like TVs aren't necessarily good for us because we're just looking at a screen, it messes with your circadian rhythm, all those things. I think there's still not enough research or evidence or data to show the long-term effects over the course of over 100 years of what a TV actually does to us as a society. I think, for one, we've realized this with cell phones that like people don't really talk to each other anymore. I'll sit at a coffee shop a lot of days and like edit stuff and like work on client whatever stuff. And I'll notice like everybody's on their phone. Everybody's on a computer. Everyone has earbuds in. They're locked in. They're working. Yes, it is like a work day, but think about it like even before cell phones. Yes, people would maybe still work from a coffee shop if computers existed at the time, but they're going to be talking. They're going to be socializing. It's kind of that third place. Again, I'm kind of getting off topic. Some of these things are going to be talked about in future podcasts. Just little teasers for now. The next thing was values. Under Weeks of My Life was values. A famous quote, I don't know who said this, but I always say it, is show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I think that is so true. I've been in experiences in life where maybe the people around me weren't that great. And it started to show. It started to affect me. It started to affect how other people looked at me. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then also, like, if you surround yourself with people that uplift you and support you and all those things, it starts to show. You become a happier person. Other people look at you differently. You're approached easier, like all these things. So it's very much a real fact. Again, this is just my opinion and, whatever. But yeah, I think another thing that I want to point out with this whole podcast is these are just all ideas and things that come to my mind and I have in my head. And it's kind of a thing of getting it out there to see if other people relate, because first off, I know other people relate in some capacity. And these are kind of the things that are worth discussing. Like, yes, they are discussed occasionally, but I think they need to be talked about more often. And obviously not everything has to be hashed out and like, so, philosophical, if you will, just like that word, I think, but it's definitely important to look at and kind of analyze and think about. And then the third one being legacy is just, what am I building towards? I've kind of touched on that throughout, is just staying disciplined, having faith and gratitude towards things, being authentically yourself. Success looks different to everyone. I think authenticity is something that's become just very important for me. I know in past versions of Brent, past versions of myself, I would definitely people please and kind of shape shift to become certain things for certain people based on their expectations. And I realized that was not making me happy at all. So I started to say no to things. I started to be truly myself and start just doing the things that I wanted to do. Like, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to just hand whatever it is that you're wanting for you. So you just got to do it. Like, if you want to go on a hike, go on a hike. If you want to go travel somewhere, go travel somewhere. If you want to, I don't know, if you want to do whatever it is that you want to do, just do it, because you're going to have people that love that and you're going to have people that hate that regardless of what you do. For example, even with this podcast, I bet there's some people that are just like, oh, look at what he's doing. And other people are like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, that's so exciting. I don't care. Regardless, I'm doing this for me. I think it's just one of those things where with authenticity comes, you kind of look at your other values that you carry and the other things in your life that are very important to you. Listening to those intuitions, those feelings of truly authentically being yourself. And I think God placed multiple people in my life for a reason, multiple thoughts in my life for a reason. And even like this podcast, like, I've been thinking about doing this for 2 years and I never did it until now. We're finally doing it. And I think there's definitely a delay in that. But the important thing is that I'm just doing it and like trusting those things and trusting myself and just continuing to build that authenticity and the future that you want to build for yourself. That was kind of a lot, but yeah, like I said, success looks different for everyone, and you just do you, man. The next topic is my workout journey. I love health and wellness stuff. I get so excited when people, start working out for the first time, or they start taking their health seriously and they look at the food that's in their pantry or their refrigerator. So my workout journey has been kind of, I would say, not crazy. It's pretty standard male in the US, maybe. And maybe it's just the people that I follow on Instagram where I kind of see the same things and I kind of get in this bubble of thinking a certain way or doing things a certain way, which for health and wellness reasons has been incredibly beneficial. So my entire life, I was a skinny cross-country kid. I think I weighed probably anywhere from like 150 to 170. I know when I lived in Tucson, I weighed about 165 pounds, and I'm 6 feet tall, so I was pretty skinny, skin and bone. I moved to Scottsdale, and I found out about this gym that one of my coworkers went to called Fitness Collective. Shout out Fitness Collective. You guys are awesome. You guys have changed my life. It's it was a personal training gym where they curate your workouts to like your fitness goals. They show you what to do, semi personal training. So they like show you what to do, circle back, make sure your form is right. Again, just curating it to your specific needs and goals. So I started at this gym weighing about 170 pounds. And this was 2 years ago, October of 2022. That's when I started at Fitness Collective. I'm no longer with them. I just work out on my own now. But at the end of that, I now weigh 205 pounds and pretty lean. I will say, from my fitness journey and workout journey and like knowing the things that I know today, it is almost crazy to me to think that probably, I'm going to say anywhere from 60 to 80% of being fit and healthy comes from your diet. And this is where I get so fired up, especially talking to people. I probably don't sound that fired up right now. I am, but where eating healthy, avoiding seed oils, avoiding processed foods, not going to fast food restaurants, getting in your daily weight and protein. If that's your goal, to gain more muscles, to like, you gotta get the protein in every day. You gotta get the protein. I'm just here for the macros. And a lot of people like overlook that. I think it's very easy to get caught up, especially when you're starting out, like, oh, you have to work out 5 days a week. No, like I hear a lot of people say like the most you need to, or starting out, you just need to work out 3 times a week. You'll see huge benefits. And that's weightlifting, like lifting weights. I think it's also cool to see how like my mindset and my brain has changed over the last 2 years. Granted, that's probably from just growing up and my prefrontal cortex being fully developed at age 26. It was like a light bulb came on and like, oh, wow, this is life. That's crazy. I will say I did kind of have a day like that, like probably, so I turned 26 last June. I would say August, October, somewhere in there. It was like this sudden like awakening of like, oh, like life, like, oh, it all makes sense now. Like, I have no idea if you're in your mid 20s, maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just crazy. Who knows? But I think that is a thing. And what else? Oh, also with the mindset thing, like if you're tired, grumpy, yeah, sometimes like going to the gym can be a chore, but once you get there, 9 times out of 10, it's going to make you feel better. You're going to feel great. You're going to feel refreshed. You get some blood pumping. That's probably all you needed, was a good workout to get your body moving, your body flowing, things moving out throughout your body and all the stuff. Throughout my fitness journey, I've also picked up yoga. I'm a big yoga guy. It's a great stretching tool. And especially if you're like locked up and tight or tense in any area of your body, there's a lot of yoga poses that can really open you up and make you more fluid, if you will. Those probably aren't the right terms, but whatever. So last but not least, question number 5, or not really question number 5, point number 5 to the first ever Brent Lemmer podcast. No sponsors yet, no guests yet. But again, if you want to be on the pod, let me know. I would love to have you. I have 2 other mics, actually. So we could have 3 people on this podcast. That would be quite the conversation. Anyway, the final point is, where are you now? Where have you been? And where are you going? This is a question that one of the groups that I was involved with in college, Nebraska Human Resources Institute, we'd meet weekly to talk about our mentee and mentors. And this was always a question that we would do as an icebreaker. Not always, but a lot of the times. Is where are you now? Where have you been? And where are you going? You can answer this question as deeply or as surface level as you wish. And knowing me, I'm going to answer it pretty deep. So where am I now? I think I'm on this journey of new beginnings, new chapters, new characters in the plot, and new things happening, new things evolving, building new things, creating new things, becoming more authentic to myself and to those around me. I've been, in the past, I think I've been hiding from that authentic self. I've been people-pleasing and had very loose boundaries of what I would do for others and what I would let them do for or to me. I think in the past, I maybe didn't realize all of the opportunities that are in front of me and all of the things that not so much I should be grateful for, but the things that I have to be grateful for. And where am I going? I am going to the prom. I'm going to my future. I know that sounds vague, but I think there's some things that aren't going to be shared, and it's kind of the true vision and internal things that I have for myself planned and thought out. I'm sure throughout this podcast and throughout future podcasts, you'll kind of pick up on some of those things and maybe what those things are. But I think, again, where am I going? It's just continuing to be authentic to myself, authentic to those around me, growing in the Word of God, being kind, being just a good, reliable person for whatever background you come from, whatever thing you do, just showing people how awesome it is to live authentically and live life in that way. It's also important to note to stop living for other people. Start living for you. It sounds like I'm going to be a motivational speaker at this point. Stop living life for other people. Start living it for you. Do the things that you want to do. No matter what you do in life, you're going to upset people. You're going to make people happy. You're going to make people mad. Not everybody's your cup of tea. And I don't want everyone to be my cup of tea. If you're not my cup of tea, that's fine. That's okay. And if you are, that's great. I love that. But I think that it took me a long time to figure that out. And I might have already touched on this topic, but just be genuine and be authentically you and do the things that you love and do the things that you want to do. Because at the end of the day, it's you and God, or it's you and whatever higher power that you believe in. And if going out of your way to do the things that you don't want to do for other people, that's going to start making you unhappy. That's not going to lead you anywhere good. So you got to start living for you, dog. Anyway, that's kind of it. That's the first podcast. I hope you enjoyed. And if you didn't, well, like I said, that's okay. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And yeah. If you want to be on the podcast, let me know. I kind of have a guest list of some people that I know in the area that I'm going to shout out or reach out to and try to get on the pod in the future. If you're not in the state of Arizona and you still want to be on the pod, reach out. I'm sure we can figure it out. I don't know how, but if there's a will, there's a way. Everything's possible. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we'll talk soon. Talk to you when I talk to you. Peace. Keep it real, man.